Welcome to another episode of Project CHARONDA. Now, in our last episode, we went through installing the MR2 Neptune RTP and got the car started, put on a base map on it. Now, in this episode, we're going to be installing an electric power steering on the car. So we decided to install an electric power steering. Now, there was the option to use the manual power steering, which would have to be mounted on the engine. I chose to go with the electric power steering. Well, it's actually called a electric hydro power steering, as it uses a motor to run the hydraulic fluid to the rack and pinion, as you do have electric power steerings which uses a motor that is connected to the rack and pinion, or it can be on the steering, the steering itself. So I'll be using the MR2 Spyder electric hydraulic power steering pump. So stay tuned. There's a lot to learn from this build. So first, we started off by building a cradle for the power steering pump. Here you can see J.J. Samuels building it from scratch with sheet metal. After we completed it, we mounted it inside the car. I retained the hoses, lines, and the plug on for this unit from the car that we scrapped this from. So here I am fishing the hose through a hole that was left there from the previous owners that had built this car, as they had a 4E FTE set up in there, and through this hole they had run the shifter cables. Alright, so here we have the high pressure and low pressure line for the power steering rack. I actually guessed these, and I hope they're right, because I salvaged these fittings from the MR2 that I scrapped. So I got the power steering pump, the wire connection, and the hose, the complete hose. So from that, I looked at it and I looked at what I was going to do and what I was trying to achieve. I realized that okay, I need these ends. I checked the picture of these ends, and what you'll find is that they look the same, but the sizes are different. So this one will not fit into this, and this won't fit inside of this. Right? It won't screw up properly. So what I'm going to do, so this is a hose that we ran through the firewall, is that I am going to go to the hose place and get this attached to this. Probably bend this pipe a little more. Get this attached to this, and this will be my high pressure hose. For a low pressure hose, I had it running up to this point. I'd cut it here, and here you'll see that it's attached to a hose. What I plan to do is to run a power steering oil cooler. So what I have in mind is that I'll be leaving from here 3/8 hose and come out to here, mount it somewhere here on the car. I don't know, somewhere up there. Find somewhere and mount it, and then we have a return hose that goes to the return to the bottle inside the car. Alright, we're going to head out to Joel, go buy hose and more, and we're going to sort out doing the high pressure hose. I opted to be able to disconnect the hose from the solid lines. To achieve this, a new hose was built. There are two valves that were in the factory hose, which were moved to the new hose. This was pointed out to me by the technician that built the hose. Male fittings were welded to the lines. Alright, so hose complete. Going to head back to the garage now. Alright, so this is the reservoir. As you can see, I've detached it from the whole pump mechanism. So here was broken off. Well, that's how I got it. So what I decided to do, went in my fittings box and got this lathed down. So what I plan to do is to just put some epoxy on this, press fit it in, and we should be good to go. So I'm going to just clean this up now and get that done. This is a hose separator. I use this in the fuel system video. So this that I have is for a -6 hose setup. What I'm using now in the power steering setup is 3/8. I guess that be around near to a -9, -10. I don't have any of those, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a little trick that I learned some time ago, to use zip ties so that I can separate the hose and run them neatly. Alright, so these are the two hoses that we're going to do the separator on. As you can see, I've already done one here. So first up, as you can see, I have two different lengths of strap ties. You can use the same size, but I decided to I have varying lengths and thickness, so this is what I decided to do. So first, you're going to take the bigger of the two and wrap around the two hoses that you intend to separate. You lightly draw on it, don't close it up, slide it into the position that you want it. Then you can get the next zip tie, put in between both hoses now, and have it hug the zip tie that you had just put on. Right, so you can see here, let me draw it closer. So you can see here you have one in between and one to the side. So you put it into the position that you want it to put in to set it. You lightly draw on both of them. Right. So you can see as I draw on the middle one, it carries up the zip tie that you had installed around both hoses, separating the two of them, so they won't ever rub together, but they'll be set in place. You won't have a problem. There you go. The evening was closed off by doing the wiring of the unit. I got a schematic online from forums and other projects that use the same pump, so I followed what they had uploaded.